This is the third-party knockoff versions of the Dark of the Moon Deluxe class Leadfoot. These are from two different companies. This one is from THF, or the Toy House Factory, and it's called the Plumb. I don't know why. It comes with, here's a look at the packaging, very nice. And it comes with a nice set of instructions. Very nice. Toy House Factory. Very, very nice. Okay, it's transformed from robot to alt mode to robot mode. So very, very cool. The second one, we're going to review them at the same time because essentially they come from the same mold or design. They copied the same figure, so it doesn't make sense to review them separately. This one is from Dream Factory. It doesn't have any name to it. I don't read Chinese or Mandarin, so yeah. This is the only thing English out of the packaging. Nothing about it. I got this one sealed, and I opened it up. There is no instructions on it, so yeah. All right, so big thanks to Hobby Corner for providing me the Dream Factory. This one I picked up at another hobby shop, which had no name, so thank you for that. All right, so that's the packaging. Let's get them out of packaging. And here they are outside of their packaging. On the left, we'll have the THF, or the Plumb, and then in the Dream Factory on the right. That's how it's always going to be in alt mode, robot mode, and whatnot. So again, THF Plumb on the left, Dream Factory on the right. And right off the bat, you can already see that they are very, very good copies of the Dark of the Moon Deluxe class Leadfoot. And I'm not saying you should go ahead and go buy yourself all the knockoffs in the world. I mean, knockoffs they're rip-offs. They're not legal technically in the sense of intellectual property rights. Hasbro and Takara Tomy did all the work and research, put all the money into it, and all these guys have to do is spend a little just to copy it, and it's not fair. But I'd given into these because this one, it cost me $250 just to obtain this one. This is the Takara Tomy version. As you can see right there on the packaging, it says Takara Tomy, and obviously it is a Takara Tomy because there are no sponsors, no sponsorship, no Target, Energizer, whatever it is, Tums, Gillette, nothing like that. So obviously that's the Takara version, and yes, it costs about $250 to $300 US. I'm not about to ruin the value of this one, so I do apologize. I'm not going to open it, so just deal with it, okay? So here is the way it looks like in robot mode, and right off the bat you can see they reverse engineered this thing or something like that just to copy it. And between the two, this is more of the precise copy. It's like they took it, remolded, cast it, molded, and just made their own version. They just manufactured it on their own. That's what happened with the Plumb. This one, on the other hand, is sort of a retool. It's the size is a little bit bigger. I don't know by how much the scale and ratio is, but there is a slight difference in height and size of the parts. Suffice to say, he is much bigger than this one in terms of scale. But transformation, except for a few things they removed, the kibble here and there they modified, this transformation is essentially the same. So I'm going to get rid of this one because we'll put him right back when we talk about alt mode. So here they are. And let me see if I can just give you more light on that. Okay. So, yeah, slight differences, and I'm pretty sure you want to see how they scale or stack up with the other wreckers. So here is Topspin, and here is Roadbuster. This one I think is the most in scale. Because if you watch the movie again, he was stout and a little bit short, stocky compared to the others. This one, he's like a wrestler. He's like a little bit bigger. So scale-wise, I'll have to go with this one. Okay, that's that. Let's take a look at each one in detail. Let's start with Plumb from Toy House Factory. It's basically the exact same copy. This is how the Hasbro version would have looked like had it not been canceled. They copied the Takara Tomy version. They checked the screenshots and decals of Leadfoot in the movie, and they tried their best to do it. And maybe some press release pictures from Hasbro of what could have been a deluxe class Leadfoot together with the 2-pack repaint of this guy. But yeah, so he's got all these sponsorship, which we'll show you in a little while. So it has that same, it's exactly the same mold. You're gonna hit that gap. He's got some Gatling guns here, which we can show you off more in alt mode. Very nice. It's a nice copy. He's got the main Gatling gun. Pretty cool. Nice detail. They copied it really nicely, and he's got the rockets right here. They're all removable. You can swap them in each of the holes and whatnot. And he's got the Mech Tech, which is the same as what we would get from Ratchet. It is the buzz saw, the saw gimmick, and it's not a perfect replication of that. The gears kind of get stuck somewhere there, and you could break it literally, and it doesn't really do that spinning gimmick. Not like the original, wherein you spin it and it still spins for a long time. But it does spin, and yeah. So, cheap knockoff, all that. Alright. So, detail-wise of the figure, just great. Look at all that silver. It's not chrome, it's just metallic silver. And that's what really, I think, differentiates it from the Dream Factory. The Dream Factory in detail is great. It's a solid figure. We'll talk about that later. But just the details of how accurate it could have been to the Hasbro version. This one, I think, is the more accurate one. With all its flaws, they copied everything. All the flaws and whatnot about the figure, they have it with this one. So articulation for the figure. Head is on I believe it's on a ball joint. No waist articulation. There is the swivel for the shoulder and the ball, sort of a ball joint right here. You can move it here, or you can make him face you like that. And just back up. Elbow, wrist, some hip joints right there, thigh swivel. No, I don't want to do it too much because it's going to ruin the alignment. Some knee joints and some toe articulation because of transformation. Okay, so that's that. The shoulders don't tab on mine. They sort of tab, but they don't stay. The chest piece does tab in nicely, so it's very solid. Other than that, it's the looseness you get from the Hasbro or Takara Tomy version. That's exactly the same thing you'll get from here. They've kept the kibble. They've kept everything about it. Some blackening here from the thrusters. It's got everything. Okay, so suffice to say, that is the reproduction of the US Deluxe Leadfoot, copied from the Takara, whatever, original mold. On to Dream Factory. Dream Factory obviously is a little bit bigger. They've differentiated some of the paint that's more accurate to the car. There's a better rendition of the Target logo than this one. It's all right there. I'm pretty sure they copied the original. And if you can see why he's got all these misaligned plates and all that, this is the weaponized version of the car, just like Leadfoot. It's not the smooth, unweaponized version that Roadbuster is. So, yeah. Oh. And I hear the Dream Factory is also going to be doing knockoff versions of these two, Roadbuster and Leadfoot, and in a little bit bigger scale, just to match this guy. Detail-wise, amazing. The only thing, the details of this one is just absolutely great. I love how they've sort of tried to remold and do some tweaking. It's the same mold, they just made it a little bit bigger. But the details come out sharper with this one. But my only gripe that really ruins the details for me are, one, the gunmetal gray. This is sort of, it's a metallic type of muted gray, which is, it should have been silver. I personally like the silver. And I think in the movie he was sort of, I think, in between these two colors. I could be wrong, but he's more of a silvery type of color than this one. So this one is a little bit muted. That's a little bit of a pain. And the effect is when you add a little bit of paint apps to it, it looks unfinished. It looks shoddy, and that's what it is. I love the details of the car on him, but the red plastic that they used for this particular figure versus this figure, this looks more like the real thing, that bright Optimus Prime red. This is more of like a Takara Convoy red, and it's glossy enough, but the way it feels, for some reason, it is a knockoff. You know it is a knockoff. I love that flake that they've put on it. That's all well and good, but there's just something about it that makes you initially see it as a knockoff. Okay, so they've moved instead of completing that whole rear fender panel, they've split it into this one, and they've reattached the other one here near the window where it's supposed to have been. So they've cut it here so that there's less kibble on the arm, and that extra panel sort of fills in that gap in his chest. There's still that gap, but yeah. The stomach tabs in nicely. The wheels are the same, they stay in there. Articulation is exactly the same except for the head. It's a swivel, but they have all the same articulation as this one. So yeah. All right. Why don't we transform them? For those of you, I have not shown the transformation in a video, so I might as well go and transform both of them, because the other thing that makes me sort of like this one more is the transformation of this one is pretty solid. It tabs in. The shoulders do tab in nicely, but when you get him from robot mode to alt mode to robot mode, there are slight clearance issues that you have to negotiate, and it can be a little bit of a pain to transform this one more than this one. This one's a lot more simpler. It's a lot more loose. This one is a little bit more tight. I will show you right now. Sorry for blabbing. One last thing about this figure. The hands move just below perpendicular. If you try to move it this way, it untabs, and you heard that snap. It literally is that hand untabbing. So a little bit of a clearance issue, and that's just been the story of this figure all day long. So we'll keep these guys out of the picture. Okay, and let's just focus on transforming these guys. So they transform exactly the same way, except for this one with slight side panels, but generally same transformation. So let's get right to it. Move this out. You've probably seen this in other reviews, so I'm not gonna delve too much, but suffice to say, I'll try to take it to you step by step as best as I can. Go ahead and unfold that. Okay. A bit brighter. Fold the hood right there and right there. Okay. Should stay just like that. Open this, open this, open. Keep the wheels right here. Untab these if you can. Fold these out like this. Untab them to the side. These feet go flip right here. Kind of reminds me of animated Blur. They'll just stay there for a while. Fold the hood, fold the feet, and tab them in together, just like that. Okay, once you've done that, you can close the bonnet, if you can. If it's aligned, there we go. So, make sure it's flat and flush. Make sure the thighs are aligned, and you are good to go. Why do I need more light? Okay. All right. Okay. Let me just move these a bit. All right, this is the tricky bit. Make sure you fold down the roof and the rear part of the car. Rotate these pieces so that these notches line up with these tabs right here in the middle. If you've done that, then you're in good shape. Next thing you want to do is you want to fold, I folded these fists. a while ago. Okay. Fold the arms all the way like that. Make sure they line up so that the doors tab in. And okay, that's what I appreciate about the Dream Factory version. It's more realistic in terms of the colors, the black and less of the gray. It's more realistic, but this one looks more like the toy. And I don't know, I'm a little bit partial on how it looks as a toy for some reason. Okay, go ahead and line that up. Should fit in nicely. All right, all that's left is this one. The side panels, they tab in right here. Make sure the bumper exhaust just nestles right under that fender, or you can actually pull it out. Not that one, I mean this one, and just tap it back in like that. Okay, it's not okay. There we go. Okay. Lastly, you want to do the wheels. Go ahead and tab them in. And if you didn't get any of the steps, we're going to do them right over there with that same figure, or you can just rewind the video. Go ahead and fold this one right here, and these panels just stay there. They don't tab in anywhere or anything like that. They just stay there. So there he is. Just mount these things. I know I forgot to do something. I forgot to show you guys the weapons of that guy. He's got the same exact weapons. Don't worry about it. Where is it? Okay. And the missiles, they mount right here. Okay. And of course, who would not want to have a buzzsaw and gun on the side of his car, right? Like, just like Mad Max or Death Race type of thing. All right. Put them off to the side. And as I mentioned, the weapons of Dream Factory, he does come with an extra piece, which I am stumped as to what it is. It looks like a place for the Gatling gun. Can't mount it like that, and it sort of like moves, but I have yet to figure out where it is. It doesn't, the clip is too thin for it to clip in any of the panels, so it could be a loose piece. I have no idea. I sincerely do not know where this thing goes, so we're gonna leave it right there off to the side. Okay. So he also comes with the same, much bigger in scale, obviously, the Gatling guns, the 2 machine guns, and the missiles. So no harm done. Okay. I have also refurbished my whole review station. Let me know what you think. If it's too bright or something like that. Okay. More light, please. So let's transform him. Again, fold fists like this. And slight difference in this panel. It folds out like that. Folds out like that. Okay, attach. These side panels do get in the way, so you might want to just fold them up, just get them out of the way. Fold the entire rear assembly like that, and look at the detail. There's just tremendous amount of detail with those panels, and I love it. Even the winds. Okay, go ahead and fold it up. Same thing, same exact thing. Well, I'll talk about the panels later. So it's a little bit more flush. There's a little bit more solidness to it. That's what I like about it. So go ahead, and this one goes like that, like that. Fold it out of the way. Fold these guys right here. Fold up the wheels, the feet. Transform like this. Fold. Okay. These things are supposed to go right here, so that's what I'm trying to do. Trying to do that. Okay, just like that. Okay. All right. And then the bonnet. All right. And he tabs in a little bit more solidly than this one, as you can see. Everything just like exactly fits into place. Okay, and here's the hard part. This is God, it took me forever just to do this. I would suggest before anything else is that you fold this top, all the way down, because once you've tabbed everything, it's very difficult. If you've left it like that, it's very difficult to push it down. So just tab in everything, fold it, secure that roof piece onto the thruster piece right there, and then you're good to go. And again, just like that's this one, the Toy House Factory, you just hence my difficulty with this one. And it's supposed to just clear it right here, right there, right there. Okay, that's what are the wheels doing here. Okay, fold this here. I guess you can fold this up right now and just tab. And then again, there's more solid transformation again with the tabs present for these lower panels. It just tabs in better. Go ahead and fold this right here. Okay. Do the same on the other side. Fold it. Sorry. Okay. Do that and that. Okay. This one just stays right here. The thumbs go like that, like that. Okay, and here's the hard part, which I think if you're able to do it, then you're in good shape. Okay, let's try and squeeze that thing. Don't worry about that crack. It's not a crack. It's there on purpose. There is a rivet. There is a pin that goes right through there for this hinge right here. So I thought I cracked it. It's not. The crack is intentional, just like on the other side. So no need to worry. Okay. And then, this is one of the hardest things for me. You need to put those two panels together. And the best way to do it, as I've seen it, is you rotate the panels up like that, and then sort of rotate them down together, and you should get them to go flush or so. Right there. Come on. Okay. It's much more difficult than it looks. So let me just pan that out. Okay. Again, just rotate the panels up. That's also how you remove it, because it's solid. So difficult. You have to rotate them upwards. And that's the best way I can think of to remove them nicely without breaking anything, and just try and close it. Come on. No. Okay. It's just tremendous amount of effort just to transform it. I know. The leader class figures I've transformed worse than this, but this one, for a simple deluxe class engineered transformation, I thought it would be much more simpler than this. So, okay, like that. Come on, man. Okay. Okay. And that's it. It's not staying. I don't know why. It should just be staying. Right there. Okay. All right. Onto the cannons. Since it doesn't have the mech tech, you can just place the cannons everywhere you want. Can do it this way. Right there. Right there. And there is the Dream Factory Leadfoot. Damn, this thing is annoying. In his alt mode. And this one is tight, this one is loose, this one is loose, this one is tight. So I don't know. They've not mastered the molding of the peg and the hole and all that. So details on this one just looks more realistic. Even the color of the windshield, metallic flake to it, the black, the darker grays and all that. And here they all are in their respective alt mode. And as you can see, the Toy House Factory is the most in scale with the other two. This guy just sticks out like he's from Mad Max or from Death Race, and he's just way bigger than everybody else. And as you can see how big that difference is. It's a slight scale difference, but the effect makes him look much bigger. Compared to this, it's like a sedan and an SUV. That's just my take on it. Even here in front, you can see it's wider. The side, on top, you can see that size disparity right there. But again, more detail on this one, more realistic feel to it, a more solid figure, but the scale, the difficulty in transformation just brings this one down for me. This one, sometimes, you know, simpler is better. There's some kibble, it's exact, it has the flaws and features of the original figure compared to this one. Even the detail I just noticed is right now, it says Impaler. It says Impaler. Well, this one says Impala. So this one is really the more accurate in terms of details. But as a toy, I think this one trumps this one. So just going back to the scale, sorry. Even with the other cars, let me just show them off one at a time. As you can see, he's perfect because he is a reproduction of the original figure. But this one, as you can see, he's a much bigger. It'll fit, given that, I agree. Look at just the details of the wheels. Goodyear, it's so, they just plagiarized everything. They just copied and knocked off everything. He's just way too big, and just a slight off in the scales, offness about the scale with him. Yeah, it's this one for me. All right, so with that, it's you know, I still leave it up to you to decide which one you prefer. Some people like this one because the details, the more solid figure, but personally, I'd have to recommend the Plumb. I thought, you know, after buying both figures, I was dead set in recommending this one, simply because they had better details and all that. But the transformation of this one, it's not so much the difficulty of the transformation, but it's the clearance issues of the transformation that make it difficult. And it's a little bit off in scale. I think those two factors is enough for me to decide that this one is the one you should get if you've no way of tracking down the original version, and if you don't want to spend $300 for a deluxe class figure. All well and good, totally understandable. For most collectors, it's a shame. Had Hasbro went on ahead and did the Target exclusive, even if it were a Target exclusive, I don't think it would skyrocket to $300. But just because they had canceled it, Takara was the only one with it, and even the Takara version did not have the decals and all that, the tampos. I'm still gonna go with the Toy House Factory Plumb. Yeah, and if you buy this, you might want to buy the other two. But if you just need one to display, because I'm not going to display the $250 Takara Tomy version, this is the one you want to get. So with me, this is my deluxe class Leadfoot. Sorry Dream Factory, you were great, but for me, for all intents and purposes of what I need, deluxe class Leadfoot, this is my deluxe class Leadfoot. So there you go, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this little long-ish review. I do apologize for the length. I had to do reviews thoroughly. Been a while since I transformed these two figures. They were very, very difficult. These two were much easier compared to these two. I'd forgotten how difficult these were, but yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. This has been the knockoff deluxe class Leadfoot figures, Dark of the Moon Leadfoot figures by the Toy House Factory and Dream Factory. Thanks for watching.